Dr. Joseph Kanu understands that one way we can honor God is by being as healthy as possible. Dr. Joe believes modern science proves the healing abilities of remedies found in Scripture, and as a practicing chiropractor, blends those biblical truths with cutting-edge technology to enrich his patients' lives physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Welcome to Simple Truths for Healthy Living with Dr. Joseph Kanu. Listen for the next 30 minutes as Dr. Joe shares tips to help you live the healthy life God intends for you. To be a part of the show, call 313-838-1035. That's 313-838-1035. And now your host, Dr. Joe.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Joseph Kanu broadcasting from Rochester Chiropractic Clinic, and we have with us for this show Dr. Jeff Haddad. Welcome,
Dr.
Jeff.
Joe. I'm back again.
Hey,
how is everything?
Wonderful. Things are going beautiful, Jeff.
Good.
Hallelujah. Any day I wake up I can see is a great day.
Wow.
You know?
You set very low expectations.
Yeah.
You got to be happy every day. I love it.
I am happy every day.
Good man.
I tell my staff before they walk in the door, if you can see, you're having a great day.
I like that.
You know?
I like that. Words to live by.
Yeah, because, the way I look at it, if you were blind and I said, Jeff, would you like to win the lotto 3 times or have your sight? What would you pick?
There's no
how
question.
happy would you be if you won the lotto 3 times?
Right.
And you would be happier if you could see, right?
No, that's true.
But anyways, well, let's start our show with a prayer.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
We're
good.
going to do a reading out of Luke, and this is Luke chapter 6. Love your enemies. Verse 27. But to you who hear, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Boy, that's a tough one, huh? Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. To the person who strikes you on one cheek, offer the other as well. And from the person who takes your cloak, do not even withhold even your tunic. Give to everyone who asks, and from the one who takes what is yours, do not demand it back. Wow, that's kind of a tough one to live by, but you know what? It really ends up backfiring on the people who do things to you when when you pray for them and you're good to them.
No, I
want
agree.
this, take that too, and sometimes
you take the high road, and sometimes it's tough. But
yes.
in the end, it's if you feel good about yourself, and
yes.
things work out in the end. I believe
work.
in that.
God blesses you in other ways, and it's great for your health.
I agree.
It's really a health message. So
yeah, well, stress is no good in anybody's life. So I'll tell you, any way to avoid it would be a good thing.
Yes. So tell me, Dr. Jeff, what do you have for us tonight to talk about? What have you been reading? So you're always doing some research.
I am. I feel like such a nerd sometimes, but I did. I came across and I think it's timely. We have the nice season upon us here, and I found an article that was talking about the damage that these sports and energy drinks can do to people's
Great
teeth,
topic, Jeff.
And
like this.
obviously I'm lumping that in with soda, which we could talk about today. And I just don't think it almost reminds me of some of the parents who don't realize how much sugar is in some of these things that we would assume are healthy. I mean, when you think of like a Gatorade, okay? Electrolytes and rehydrating,
Right.
It all sounds good. And it is good to a degree. But there's also a ton of sugar in those. You have your Gatorades, your Powerades, all these sports drinks that, again, we do not. Dehydration is all bad. You know that. I mean, having water, of course,
Sure.
in your body is very important, especially when you're overexerting yourself. So, these companies that have developed these, infused electrolyte drinks, again, they're on the right track. But just like I'll equate it to apple juice. Apple juice is very healthy, but do you have any idea how much sugar is in apple juice?
Yes.
It's a ton, So, I hate to be the bearer of bad news when a mom brings in their child and they've got, 5 cavities. And they're like, how could this be? And I said, well, what's their diet like? Oh, well, they don't drink any pop. I said, well, it's great. How much juice do they drink? Oh, well, they drink a lot of juice, but just apple juice or just orange juice. I said, well, I know it sounds healthy,
Yes.
but this is bad news. It might as well be, pop to a degree.
Right.
So I thought this was interesting.
So even though the pop has the phosphoric acid, the carbonation,
And that's another problem, and we'll talk about that. But the sugar levels in
But you're
both.
saying even the juices or the
Yep.
constant flushing your teeth with the juices.
That's one of the biggest things. If you listen, I drink. I know you're gonna get mad at me, all right? I do drink soda. Dr.
What?
Joe. I know. I'm sorry. Don't.
That's it.
I was afraid to tell you.
Vito at the station, cut his mic. Cut his mic. Turn him.
I feel like I just went to confession. But no, and I do it. I have an occasional soda, to be honest. I do drink my diet, which, again, what we're going to get to today is not as you would think it's better for you, but in some ways it's worse. But what I tell people is this. If you're going to do anything, you do anything in moderation. But let's say you're drinking a soda for like a caffeine purpose, which a lot of people do, just like their coffee. If you just drink a quick soda and you're done for the day, that's okay. It's what you said. You hit the nail right on the head, which is bathing it all day. Because unfortunately, there are people who sip on things all day. They'll sit there at their desk with their Coke or their Mountain Dew and all day long, even their coffee with a lot of sugar. And all day, once that sugar's in your mouth, what happens, Dr. Joe? You know what happens.
Well, bacteria.
Yeah, and why does the bacteria? Why can bacteria flourish?
Feed on the yeast feeds on the sugar.
Yep.
Right.
And what these acidic type drinks do is they lower the acidity in your mouth. Okay. Which, all right. And when we have low acidic environments, these bacteria thrive. That's really what comes down to it. So let's say let's say Dr. Jeff has his Diet Coke. Well, I'm going to have an acidity level problem for a little bit. But then I'm going to rinse out with water. I'll go and brush my teeth, and I'm fine. If I was sitting there sipping all day long, my mouth is at this lower acidic level. Big problems. And that's a big thing. I don't ever want to be a hypocrite and tell people, oh, you stay away from your pop, you stay away from your Gatorade.
Right.
I think Gatorade is a great thing. Okay. I consider myself an athlete. I've got a triathlon coming up this weekend.
So
and
but so you know, the views of Dr. Haddad do not reflect the views of WMUZ or Simple Truth.
This is true. I'll tell you, I would love to hear some recommendations from you. But obviously, when you're in a 2-hour race, okay, which is what I'm going to be in, water's not going to cut it. And if you do all the research, you need some level of sugar, electrolytes to keep your blood sugar up, right? And again,
absolutely.
So unless you have some good natural things for me, I'm going to probably go to my Gatorade, But people need to understand that there's a time for it, and I want today's show to be educational. So yes, it's good for you in some ways, but A, you need to do it in moderation, and B, realize that it's not as healthy as you think. Going and grabbing the Gatorade every single day, all day long, is not the same as grabbing the water. It's not. It's night and day.
Right.
And water is, well, we've talked about it. It's life. I mean, it is the best thing you could put in your body. And there's not much that's better. But I understand water isn't as sexy as everybody wants it to be. It gets a little old, so there are other things out there, but I want people to know what they're drinking and the choices they're making.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what my goal is today. I got some great stats here. I've got some good comparisons on some of the energy drinks, which, good Lord, don't get me started on those. We start talking about the Red Bulls of the world, and I'm going to tell you.
Isn't it a shame what some of the kids are drinking and doing to themselves?
And people don't realize how bad it is. I mean, back in my day, I remember in college, I remember taking my Mountain Dew and my Chewy Sprees to the library so I'd have enough energy to stay up all night and study. I mean, that was the way it was,
Sure.
My dentist, honestly, no offense to him, and even dentists back then, they didn't educate their patients that I feel like the dentists today do. I mean, I know I do.
Yes.
I feel like patients, even your generation, my generation, it was more of a, listen, oh, you got a cavity, I'm going to fill it. How about taking a step back and saying, well, this is why you got a cavity, and here's how you avoid it. But that wasn't the way they were it wasn't a focus back then. Now we educate, and that's what we're doing today. We're gonna educate patients on, and whatever choice they make, that's up to them. But kids today, they think Red Bull, hey, no big deal. Well, you compare that Red Bull to my Mountain Dew. My Mountain Dew might as well be water.
Wow.
It's that
It is.
bad. Oh,
It's
God.
that bad.
I mean, there are actually, and I don't know if you've ever heard of the term meth mouth. You've heard of the
Yes.
drug that, I mean, just
Right.
addictive drug that actually
So
makes
what is the meth mouth?
so a meth what this
Wow.
drug does is it actually, and I don't know the
You
exact.
mean like the meth labs? People are
Yes.
smoking meth.
Correct.
Right.
What the meth does, it's not the drug that causes the deterioration of the teeth. It's actually the desire it causes in patients for high sugar, high caffeine. So they are drawn to these
gosh.
Red Bulls, to
Okay.
these mountains, and they are just
Pounding them.
like you wouldn't believe. And that's actually what destroys the teeth. And I'm
So
telling
it's not actually the meth.
you, no, it's not. No,
It's
the actual
cravings.
the cravings.
For the foods and drinks.
And literally, we're talking. I mean, it's dissolving their teeth. I mean, do you understand? I hope everyone's listening to the fact that your teeth, your enamel, the white part of your teeth, is harder than any bone in your body. It's the hardest substance on your body. And if this stuff is dissolving,
harder than my head. Jeff?
Well, maybe not harder than Dr. Joe's head, but other people's head, yes. I mean, you think about that. Would you? I mean, if you let your femur bone sit in Red Bull long enough, it's going to dissolve. I mean, that's
Wow.
got to be scary.
So
enough
what
for
you're
people.
saying is, for it to dissolve your enamel, it's got to really be bad.
That's correct. I mean, it's the strongest substance on our body, and again, and it also takes a lot for it to get that bad too. So you need to, you think about how often people are drinking these things and consuming things. If they even cut back to a reasonable amount, you're making a world of difference. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm never going to tell you that the Red Bulls of the world are ever going to be good for you. They're not. I mean, forget about teeth. I mean, everything about it. And I know you agree with that. But again, if we're talking about just normal soda pop
your
here.
blood, your liver, it's
Oh, God,
hard on your whole system, your kidneys.
We don't even know yet what it's doing to us.
Right.
I mean, it's just so
How
new.
caustic.
But back to even these energy drinks. I think that a lot of people want to. I mean, I want them to know that some of these things, they are good for you in moderation. If you need to do a Gatorade after a race, I'm like, that's great. Here's some tips. Okay, I mean, I'm going to throw some things out there. First of all, whether it's pop, whether it's juice, whether it's Gatorade, if you can't get to a toothbrush, at least rinse out with some water.
At least rinse
out with some water, because again, it's back to that stuff sitting on your teeth all day. Or God forbid, if you do it right before you go to bed. Somebody drinks a pop and then doesn't brush their teeth.
Wow.
You got 6 to 9 hours of that acidity just sitting there. And bacteria flourishes at night because of saliva production. If you're a mouth breather, that's going to be dry environment in there, and that bacteria flourishes, which actually,
So the bacteria actually flourishes when your mouth is drier.
Much more so. Saliva is, in fact, all right, well, let's get to it. Saliva, just the pH of saliva is 6.2 to 7.4. That's perfect,
Normal,
right? Just neutral, right? Which in equivalent to water, okay, 7.67. Okay, that's just tap water. So that's great. I mean, that's neutral. That's what we want. Saliva, for it not to be there, is making things drier. Things can adhere easier because saliva flushes things, right?
Okay,
and if you've eaten at night, not brushed your teeth, or again, drank something with sugar, that's going to sit there and it is going to do the damage. I mean, just significantly. So, wash out with water. I mean, better yet, of course, brush your teeth afterwards if you can. But I understand if it's during the day, maybe somebody's at work, you can't get to it. Rinse out with water. It's a great, great trick, and it works very, very well.
How well, Jeff? Because last show, I mean, not to contradict you.
Okay.
But last show you were saying when you were in dental school and the plaque, you tried to, you brushed your teeth and then you took the little red dye pill.
Right.
And
that was after eating. You're right. I'm talking about after drinking something.
After drinking.
Drinking something, yes. Yeah, I mean, believe me, swishing out with water is not a substitute for getting food off your teeth.
Okay.
I'm saying if you drink.
So that's the difference.
That is a difference. Yes, I'm sorry.
Food is hard to brush. You got to brush.
Food's got to be brushed. Yeah, there's nothing there.
But drink, you can't. Rinsing might help.
It's going to help.
90%.
Sure.
80, 90%.
Not as good as brushing your teeth, obviously, but at least rinsing the majority off. It's something, right?
Yes.
I mean, you ever hear of the eating of the apple during the day, and if that helps, that helps. I mean, eating an apple after that really breaks things down and flushes things out. But that said, you leave that apple long enough, and that's going to cause problems.
Yes.
So no, I'm just saying if you're out and about and you have your craving for your pop or your Gatorade or your apple juice, whatever, a good trick again for kids too. And I tell this, I mean, I give little lectures to schools a lot of times, and that's a trick I tell them. If you're at school, I mean, young kids, they're not going to bring their toothbrush to school, most of them.
Right.
So at least go to the drinking fountain, rinsing out is going to be a very good thing for them. Okay.
So, and the other thing is you don't want to sip on it all day long.
Especially not.
Or for a long time.
Yeah, you want to drink it and be done with it. Okay,
Yes.
get your electrolytes. Drink it with your meal. That's fine. Do not let it just sit there all day long and sip on it at work. That's where real problems happen. And actually, one thing I wanted to mention is like a recommendation on back to the sports drinks is I'm not sure if you've heard of coconut water. That's really becoming big.
Pretty popular.
Yeah, and I like the idea of it. I think it tastes good, and I mean that's pretty darn natural, and then it has a lot of rehydrating properties that these other infused electrolyte drinks do too.
Right.
So I think that
I've seen some brands that are cheaper that are not. They have all these additives in there that are not good for you.
And you don't want
but
that.
the pure coconut water, it's like twice as expensive. And my thought is buy the good one, just drink less of it.
I know.
Instead of buying the cheaper one and drinking.
Well, sometimes you get what you pay for, and I mean I know my wife, we have the organic fruits and vegetables delivered to our house, and I mean she's very big on the organic, and yes, it's a lot more expensive, and she had to talk me into it only because I said, I grew up eating all these other things that were organic. I feel like I'm, relatively normal. She doesn't agree with that, but she's big on the, just the organics for our kids and all that. And I know it's a different world than it was when we grew up.
It is a different world. Yeah.
So I think that's very good. And again,
plus, the body's the temple of the Lord. We owe it to our bodies. Right, to take good care of ourselves.
No, I agree with that.
Priorities. We need to prioritize our expenses.
No, I agree.
So Jeff, one simple, easy, Gatorade, the electrolytes are not, it says it replaced, I wish it replaced all your electrolytes. Mm-hmm. It does not. You know what a great combination is? If you made like a half a gallon pitcher, squeezed a lemon, the juice of a whole lemon. Mm-hmm. You know me, back to the lemon.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Wait, hold on one second. Before you go on,
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know that we like our lemon juice, but I just want to let everybody know that the most acidic solution that I found in this entire article was lemon juice at 1.6 on the pH scale. So please mix it with water. I like it, but let's go easy on the lemon juice, okay?
So, but I mean, let's say you're going to do a marathon.
Yes.
People who are running.
Right.
Okay, you're going to do the marathon. So this isn't something you want to do. As we talk about the lemon, like we mentioned on the show before, when you gave your stamp of approval that if in the morning you juice a lemon, drink it down, and then go brush your teeth.
Yep, I totally agree.
Right, because it's great for your body.
Yep.
It's good for your mouth, but you don't want to You don't want to sip on lemon juice all day long.
You got same thing as everything. I agree.
Okay, because it's actually worse than probably some of these
big time acidity. But yes,
than even Gatorade.
Correct.
Because it's so acidic. You don't want to sip on lemon juice all.
Right.
But if you made let's say you're going to do a marathon. Mm-hmm. And so you made a pit. What I like to do is throw like some raspberry leaf tea in a jug. Uh-huh. You don't even have to boil it. You throw the tea bag and it diffuses. Mm-hmm. You squeeze some of the lemon. You add about a half a cup of maple syrup. Now,
really?
Maple syrup has the lemons and the maple syrup. That is a comprehensive amount of replacing all your electrolytes.
Wow.
So now here's what you're in a race, and then you can pour it into containers, right? So you're running, you slam it down because you need more than just water, like you said, when you're doing these long distance eventing type things or adventure races, where it's like 12 hours or sometimes 48 hours you're running, moving through the woods, canoeing, kayaking, biking, swimming, running and navigating. So orienteering type stuff, I have patients who do, and that's what I recommend they do. So this isn't everyday bathing. It's the lemon, the maple syrup, and maybe some raspberry leaf tea. Uh-huh. Slam that down. Way better than Gatorade and a lot cheaper, but you have to plan ahead.
Right.
You can't just pull into a 7-Eleven and buy.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use your recipe this Sunday.
Can you try that?
I will.
I will make it for you if you do it.
That's even better.
How about that?
I am that lazy, but I will
All
do
right.
it. Now listen, if for whatever reason I don't do as well in this race or anything, I am going to blame you.
If I got to
I've got
pick
an
you up
excuse.
with
This
a
is great.
spatula halfway through, I'm going to be in trouble.
Yes,
but I guarantee you're going to do great.
All right, I like it. I will take you
We'll
up
try
on
that. Now that's not, as you said, something with drinking the lemon. You don't want to bathe.
Right.
Your teeth. So you're going to drink it and then maybe follow it up.
You just want to
with some water.
You want to consume things that are good for you, and you never want to do anything in excess, and you definitely don't want to do anything like that on a consistent basis during the day. That's the biggest thing. It's like you said, get your nutrition. Even back to me letting people splurge. I mean, you want some coffee, get your caffeine. And be done with it, unless you're drinking black, but that's fine. But
even black, I would think the acid has got to be, even though it's not sugar.
Coffee, coffee's big time staining. And all day long coffee would be a bad thing.
Wouldn't you think it would soften the enamel so that
As far as I know, that's not the case. The only time coffee becomes a problem is with all the sugars and the creamers. I drink mine black, and I don't think it's because I just want to be healthier. I just like the taste of it black, but that's just me.
Okay.
But no, as far as I know, again, big time staining properties, no question about it. And again, everything in moderation. You don't want to be drinking 10 cups of coffee a day. That's not good for you. Your heart, nothing. But no, I think that, like I said, if your statement really says it all. Get your fix, if you will, and get it in, and then rinse out with water if you can. Be done with it, and you're going to be in really good shape. Let me do this, Joe. I want to leave people. Maybe even scare them a little bit with some of the sodas out there, because I have this chart that's very, very interesting here, okay? I want everybody to realize now, just so everybody knows what a pH is, that's, you have a pH balance of, it's 1 to 10, and 1 is the most acidic, which is essentially bad, when we're talking about teeth, you think about your lemon juice in your, vinegar and things like that. That's very acidic. Then you're talking about very basic things, which is on the higher scale towards the 10, which is like, your milk of magnesia and other bases, baking soda, things like that, right? So, and anything in the middle is good, that's your waters and, very neutral. But here, and just so you know, all these things I'm going to read off are all in the very acidic level. I mean, these are all the soda pops out there. But I found some things very interesting. I'm going to tell you the most acidic soda pop that they had listed here was
Mountain Dew?
No, I thought that too. Actually, Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
The classic. Coca-Cola.
Hey, get a Coke.
Let's see here. Oh, I take that back. I'm sorry. Cherry Coke is just a touch more acidic. But we're at 2.5. Okay.
How about Diet, Jeff?
Okay. So
I know I'm interrupting.
No, you're not. That's actually perfect. I was very surprised to find this. Do you realize that Diet Coke is more acidic than Coke? In fact, the majority of Diet Cokes or Diet Pops that I found were all more acidic than the regular. So there's no sugar, which is good, but the acidity levels are higher. So you can, Well,
that must mean the artificial sweeteners are very caustic and acidic.
And you know what? I don't have an answer for that, and I want to find that out, because I think that our future show for us should be talking about these artificial sweeteners versus the stevias of the world, some of the natural ones,
right?
And we can kind of do a combo where I can talk about their effects on their teeth, you can talk about more of their effects just overall, and I think that would be a great topic, because I don't have the answer to that. Yeah. I believed it was more of even the carbonation or even the process for the Diet Coke, because I've never heard of some of these artificial sweeteners that, as far as I know, the bacteria and decay does not treat them the same way they treat sugar. Okay, but I will find out. I'm the man who also. When I know something, I know something. When I don't know something, I will find out for you, okay? But I want to make a comparison here, though. You said Mountain Dew. Diet Coke is just as acidic as Mountain Dew is, okay? Mountain Dew is at 3.229. In fact, I take it back. It's a touch more acidic than it. I mean, it really is. None of this is good for you here. Diet Mountain Dew, again, more acidic than the Mountain Dew. So we're. It's one of those things that we want to be aware of it. We want to
Yes.
take it in
Knowledge
moderation.
is power.
Knowledge is power, and we
The
want to
Lord's
just make
people
sure.
suffer for lack of knowledge.
I agree.
I really appreciate you sharing all this.
No, I think it's good. I think people need to realize that this stuff is not as safe as you want it to be. And again, just be aware of what you're drinking, be aware of what you're consuming, and do everything in your power to avoid any issues with it. There's damage that can be done to your teeth, and it's irreversible damage. So let's nip it in the bud now.
Yes.
And start doing some good things for your teeth.
That's great. So the long and the short in recap, Jeff, can you tell us?
In recap, I would tell everybody to be aware of sports drinks, energy drinks, obviously soda pops. None of this is good for you, especially on a all-day basis of sipping. It's going to lower the acidity levels in your mouth, which makes the bacteria of decay flourish. Okay? That's where they flourish. Some tips: rinse out with water afterwards. Better yet, brush your teeth afterwards. Get those acids out of your mouth so your body can be neutral, and that bacteria is not able to proliferate and cause the cavities and all this stuff that are really the problems that we see with these drinks.
Yes.
So
that's the thing. So if you're going to sip on something, it better be water, or make a pitcher. What do you think of like putting some herbal tea bags in a pitcher of water, like raspberry leaf or something?
Yeah, I love green tea. Big fan of it.
Green tea that there's no sugar, no lemon, no carbonation, and that's what you can sip on.
You know what I do actually at home? I actually make a pitcher, and I'll put a bunch of cucumbers in there. Cucumber water.
Oh,
it's just
man.
so good. So refreshing. All right.
Yes.
It's just awesome.
We are going to do a whole show on cucumbers coming up. Yeah,
I love it.
About 2 weeks.
Are you going to put them on your eyes and just make sure that they get those bags off?
Cucumbers are amazing.
No, they are.
So anyways, Doc, we're out of time. How do we get a hold of you?
You can always call the office at 248-656-2020. Obviously, please go to our website if you want any more information on this or any other shows we've done. RochesterAdvancedDentistry.com. And, great to be here again. But if anybody has any questions for me, I'm more than happy to take a look at them anytime.
All right, great. Thanks for donating your time, Dr.
Thank you.
And remember that in all that you do, eat, or drink, do all things to the glory of God. You can listen to all these shows on Simple Truths for HealthyLiving.com. Have a blessed night. And Jeff, next show?
I'm thinking about possibly covering a little dry mouth.
What
causes it and what we can do to avoid it.
Next week. See you then.
You've been listening to Simple Truths for Healthy Living with Dr. Joseph Kanu. If you'd like to talk with Dr. Joe, call 248-656-1011. That's 248-656-1011. And tune in again Monday through Friday from 10:30 to 11 for another edition of Simple Truths for Healthy Living with Dr. Joseph Kanu.
The content on this program is for sharing general information purposes only. It is subject to change with ongoing research. It is not meant to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure anything. Dr. Kanu encourages you to make your own healthcare decisions based upon your own research and in partnership with a qualified healthcare professional of your choice.